Welcome back, friends. I've shared with you the beginning of my journey towards becoming a real estate agent. It felt like I was on a train going through a dark tunnel with no light in sight. It was nerve-wracking, bumpy, and scary. But you deal with failure and find your way through to the light at the end of the tunnel. The journey is important. Nothing worth doing is easy, and if you have perspective on what the challenges are, your ride will be a whole lot more enjoyable and brighter. Jump aboard my metaphorical train and I'll show you the obstacles that I faced. I'd come to a fork in the track and decided to go a new direction. This is part 2 of my story. At the 2-year mark, I had made a total of 13 grand. I was miserable cold calling all day, every day. It hurt my soul. I was gradually becoming numb to feelings, angry inside. I really didn't like who I was becoming. It was a means to an end, but I was doing harm to my emotional psyche in the process. The rejection was one thing, but what bothered me more was that these property owners didn't make logical decisions. They wouldn't make sound business or life choices, and that was incredibly frustrating to me because they weren't listening to my advice. Dealing with these owners reminded me of dating apps in Los Angeles. Endless swiping through the wrong people, and then chatting, but they might not respond. Just wanting attention, playing games, or flaking on dates. There are a lot of obnoxious people out there. While I was working towards becoming a successful agent, I was studying the real estate business in all facets. Agent skills, legal aspects, contracts, property management. But there was one class at UCLA Extension that stuck out. Real estate and investment strategy. Each session, my jaw dropped a little further to the ground. I was learning magical information that I didn't know existed. I'd found something special, and I realized this is where I was supposed to be. I thought getting rich investing in real estate was a basic process. You buy property, it appreciates over time, you're rich. But the details were astounding. It was a complicated skill, equivalent to the challenge of becoming a master in golf. Most people can hit the ball, but to consistently hit par, it's a different ballgame. Learning how investment properties could be valued opened my eyes to opportunities. As I took these skills into the brokerage world, I had a new perspective. I remember the day that it happened. I was doing a typical property evaluation for an owner. Part of that involves looking at comparable properties that were already sold. The MLS.com is the spot to go for information about for sale, under contract, pending, and sold properties, giving you the ability to narrow down your specific search criteria. With my more nuanced understanding of property values, I started seeing strange outlier sales. Properties that had been sold for way less than the other comparable properties. This isn't obvious because there's many variations. There's property size, bedroom counts, condition, location, current rents, potential rents. A slight variation impacts the price. But as you study an area and product type, you gain a better understanding of what market prices should be. I was seeing differences in prices in the range of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sometimes nearly $1 million of missed value. That meant that the person who purchased these deals made nearly $1 million overnight. I couldn't believe that people were almost giving away their buildings. The illogical personality trait that I hated in these owners had been a major gain for others. Savvy real estate investors were striking it rich by purchasing properties for a major discount. Property owners don't know any better. Most of the time it's because they're desperate to sell. And more importantly than that, there are bad real estate agents out there. Unprofessional, misguided agents that don't know any better. A common example is this. There's a 4-unit apartment building in Los Angeles that a small mom and pop owner have had for the last 30 years. They don't care about being rich. They just want the tenants to pay rent at the end of the month. Eventually, they pass away, and the kids inherit the building. And the kids have been living their own life, so they don't really want to deal with tenants, toilets, and trash of an apartment building. Maybe they can make some money from this. And their cousin Bob is a real estate agent down in San Diego. They give him a call and Bob says, "Yeah, sure, I'll sell it for you." Because Bob is going to earn potentially $30,000 in commission He's not turning this down. Never mind the fact that he doesn't specialize in Los Angeles. Never mind the fact that he's a single-family home agent and doesn't really understand multifamily investment properties. But those things matter a lot. But he takes it on anyway, and ultimately, he undersells the building by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they are none the wiser. But the savvy real estate investor is, and they just undersold it to him. I saw this time and time again. I couldn't believe my eyes. And that was just the first part of it. I also realized that not only could people make money from underbuying a building, but they could also add value by improving a property and make huge profits. I could see people doubling their money in a year's time. But how could I do it? I didn't have any money. I was still actively trying to make the brokerage job work, but my new side project was figuring out how to participate in all these incredible deals I was seeing. At that time, it was an average of one amazing deal every 2 weeks. Every time it hurt my soul to see someone else making hundreds of thousands of dollars instantly. And I felt like by the time I earned enough money in brokerage to buy one of these projects, I'd be old and gray. I was racking my brain for solutions. One of the major concepts I was learning in my investment strategy classes was OPM, other people's money. There are two main types of OPM. Debt is the first form. Typical lenders are banks and credit unions. They lend a percentage of the property's purchase price and charge an interest rate to do so. The second type is equity participation. People who give money for an ownership stake in the property. I thought this could be my key to faster growth and success. So I started thinking, who would fund these projects? Who would invest with me? How would I make money from doing this? I had so many questions and I wasn't sure where or how to begin. I poked around friends and family, friends of friends, friends of family. Did anyone have any connections? I had a gold mine in front of me. Surely someone would want to take advantage of it. Most immediately said they were not interested. Others never responded and just ghosted me, which was hurtful. It was a touchy subject, but I was surprised people wouldn't at least have a conversation with me. But I did have one person that would hear me out. My good old dad. He had no financial experience whatsoever. A psychologist that had let my mom take care of his finances for the last 40 years. I showed him all the details. I took him to one-day investment classes at UCLA Extension. It took 3 months of convincing. He wasn't a rich man and had never truly invested, but he had hopes of being able to retire one day. So I promised him the world, and I had my first investor. He was in. I had $375,000 of capital to work with, which was almost everything he had to his name. He had to sell his house to provide me with this money. But I was on the hunt. My first step was talking to a mortgage broker, a middleman between purchasers and lenders that would help secure funding. So I had a combination of both types of OPM. Equity and debt would help pay for a building. A mortgage broker takes all your financial information, tax returns, bank statements, credit score, and then goes to different lenders to see who will give you the best interest rate and terms for your loan. There are many pitfalls here to be aware of. Modern booby traps that had me emotionally bobbing and weaving, and you'll see why. Not all mortgage brokers are even. I did a Google search and connected with one that had high reviews. He seemed knowledgeable and he told me about FHA loans, a type of loan where you only needed a 3.5% down payment. If you buy a $1 million property, you only have to put down $35,000 of your own money. In my head, if that was the case, we could potentially buy 2 properties. Wow, it was so exciting. The mortgage broker told me that my father and I didn't have enough income to do this though. Our tax returns weren't appealing enough. Our gross or total income was plenty, but because we had taken expenses off, our net income wasn't high enough. And it's the net income on tax returns that a lender cares about. Clever old me at the time came up with a brilliant strategy. Well, maybe if we amend the tax returns and don't take so many expenses, then we could get the loans. But that meant we would have to pay $30,000 more in back taxes. And so we did. In my head, it made sense because if we could buy an extra building, we could make up that $30,000 in profit. I was so proud of my idea. My dad was even game. So we did it. paid the tax, amended the tax returns, and then I found a deal. It was a 4-unit apartment building in Santa Monica for $1.3 million. It was such a great deal. 5 blocks from the beach. It was all working out so great. I had my real estate license and I decided to write up an offer. And it was accepted. OMG. I was nervous, but excited. I hired a few building inspectors to check out the property to see what kind of work it needed, and we were on our way towards owning our first property. And the down payment was only going to be 3.5% of $1.3 million, so $45,000. But then a catastrophe happened for us. The mortgage broker said no go. What do you mean no go, bro? He told me the loan wasn't going to work. Please, explain further. It's just not gonna work. Financials don't make sense. Seriously? That is the only explanation that they gave me. All this effort to be blown up instantly. I thought the world was crashing down on me. There would never be a deal again this good. Plus, I just had my dad pay $30,000 extra in taxes. I was starting to panic. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Thanks for tuning in. This was the start of my story over the last 9.5 years. I'm up to $4 million in equity now, and I'm excited to show you how I got here. Please like, comment, subscribe, and be part of the journey with me. Talk to you soon. Later, guys.